Hello, Tubies and my Teletubbies. It's me, Sheila Truelove, and I am here. I might sound a little stuffy right now because I have a cold, a very serious cold. I hope you enjoy the fish, the aquarium I have here before you. And I was just doing my research, as you know I usually do, and I ran across this guy who was so phenomenal, and the way he expressed things is exactly the way I feel and exactly the way that I see things when it comes to the Jehovah's Witness organization. So I figured, newsflash, newsflash, things everyone need to know about Jehovah's Witnesses. Let's get into this. His name is, I suggest you go to his channel. He has like 4 or 5 videos. He is amazing. The way he breaks everything down, and he's very clear, and everything he says is so on point, and it's true. 100% true. Now, his name is Tsunama 1914. I'll spell his name. TSUNAMI space 1914. This one is Jehovah's Witnesses. Am I an apostate? Let's listen to his view.
You see, for so many years, I never really understood the definition of what apostate meant until I actually did my research and looked up what the actual definition was when I got a bigger understanding of what apostate or apostasy means. Here's a definition that you can find in the jw.org website of what apostate or apostasy means. The definition is: apostasy is abandoning or deserting the worship of God. Actually a rebellion against Jehovah God. So here's telling you that
Now you hear what he said, what the Watchtower organization said. Apostate is someone who is rebelling against Jehovah, turning their back against Jehovah. That has nothing to do with an organization. But as we know, Jehovah's Witnesses associate Jehovah, the organization, as being Jehovah. That's idolatry. Do you see once again how crafty Satan the devil is? That's idolatry.
rebelling against Jehovah God. And it says right here in the bottom, others claim to believe the Bible but reject Jehovah's organization. You see, in this definition of what apostasy means in the jw.org website, it pretty much puts the organization and Jehovah together as one. Meaning, if you're questioning the organization, you're questioning Jehovah. Therefore, for the Jehovah's Witness, in their eyes, Jehovah and the organization are seen as one. Let
Exactly.
me give you guys the true definition of what apostate means. Here's
Now, I love his definition because I use the thesaurus and the dictionary myself, and I came up with the same conclusion that you're about to hear. The the real meaning of apostate or apostasy.
the actual definition of what apostate means. Apostate or apostasy: a person who renounces a religious or political view, belief, or principle. Abandoning a religious or political belief or principle. No,
That's exactly what I found. Anyone who has changed their political or religious belief is considered apostate. So when you think about that, if you were not born in this organization as a Jehovah's Witness, and let's say you were a former Catholic, a Baptist, a Protestant, a Muslim, a Judaism, a Buddha, and you came from that religious background, and you came to become one of Jehovah's Witnesses, you are an apostate. That's an apostate. A person who has changed their religious belief or their political belief. So why is it okay? This is how hypocritical these Jehovah's Witnesses are. It's okay for them to associate and talk to and hang out with these apostates, but yet when it comes to people who simply change their Bible study group and decided to go elsewhere, they consider them, these are the apostates, that you were not supposed to deal with apostates. Do you see where I'm coming from? Or am I making myself clear to prove how hypocritical these people are? Another reason I had to fall back and why I had to disfellowship Jehovah's Witnesses.
Nowhere in the actual definition does it say that you are going against Jehovah. So why does the organization make it seem, when you're considered an apostate or question the organization's beliefs, why do they make it seem like you're rebelling against Jehovah? If Jehovah is his own entity and the organization is organization, why is it that they combine the two together as one? So when you question the organization, you're questioning Jehovah.
Exactly.
Jehovah's Witnesses claim that this is Jehovah's organization. But if you listen closely to what the organization is telling you, they're basically putting the organization in the same level as Jehovah God. Whatever you want to call him, they're putting him at the same level.
And what do we call that? Idolatry. And what did Jehovah say? Jehovah says, I am a jealous God. Do not put any other God before my face. And that's what this organization has done. They have taken the organization and the governing body and turned them into Jehovah. Just to the point where when a person decides to go someplace else, they say that you're leaving Jehovah. No, no one's ever left Jehovah or Jesus Christ. No. People have left, they have reasons for why they left. The child molestation, people couldn't stomach that. The hidden database that you have of protecting pedophiles and of child abusers. The shunning policy that they have. The blood transfusion policy that they have. The constant flip-flopping and changing their teachings and claiming that it's the new light and misinterpreting Proverbs chapter 4. There's numerous reasons why people have decided to abandon this organization, not to mention the many false prophecies that they have prophesied, which that's the number one identifying mark that the Bible speaks of in Deuteronomy chapter 18, how to identify false prophets. Now, it don't get any clearer than that. So for people not to understand that, I'm at my wit's end. You know, I just can't figure it out because there's way too much information out here today for people to say that they don't know. And for anyone to want to be a part of an organization that is so destructive, something is definitely wrong with their heart condition. Something is wrong with them.
So in the Jehovah's Witness eyes, the organization is Jehovah. Here's one example. Let's say you become inactive in the organization. You stop attending the meetings, you stop going to service, you stop socializing with Jehovah's Witnesses. You get a phone call from your brother, from your sister, from your mom, whoever. The first thing they tell you right before they hang up or right before they talk to you is, don't forget about Jehovah. In reality, what does that mean? Does it really mean don't forget about God? No. It actually means don't forget about the organization.
That's right. Because I know I had to fall back from this organization. Not one iota of a moment have I ever forgotten about Jehovah or Jesus Christ. Ever. I just went someplace else where I felt that I would be built up, where I would be more motivated. and more inspired to continue to struggle and fight to serve Jehovah and to follow Jesus Christ. Because as long as I stayed connected to that organization, it was causing me to fall deeper and deeper and deeper into depression and more anxiety. And I'm not really a person who suffers from anxiety. But the more I was listening to things that I was finding out about this organization, I was falling deeper and deeper into a depression. And after having a Bible study with the attorney who really brought me a lot of information pertaining to this organization, especially where they invest money in tobacco companies, in the military, in all type of things that we Jehovah's Witnesses are not supposed to be a part of. And all the information I was finding out about this organization, and what really was the straw that broke the camel's back, was when I found out about that database and how they're hiding pedophiles, and they won't release that information, or they're reluctant to release that information to the authorities. That was the straw that broke the camel's back, along with learning about all the suicides of people because they lost their family. And also, what also freaked me out, and I got to be honest with you, Tubies, is when I learned about that organ transplant. How there was a time when you could not have an organ transplant because that was considered to be cannibalism. And so many people, so many thousands upon thousands, if not millions of people died. I'm not going to say millions, but I know thousands upon thousands of people died because they did not receive the medical care that they could have received. And then later on down the road, oops, a new light. Now it's okay for you to have organ transplants. That's crazy. There was a time when you couldn't have blood fractions. You couldn't have any part of the blood. How many thousands died from that? You know how many people have lost their loved ones? Do you know how hard it is to find good friends, and how hard it is to have maintain a good family? And then when you have these good friends and you have a good family and they end up dying on you because of some false doctrine and false teachings? And then their justification is, oops, we have a new light. Proverbs chapter 4, which we know they totally misinterpret that whole scripture. That's when I started to say, you know what? Nah, something's totally not right with this. And all of this shunning, and I'm standing back watching family after family after family, even marriages being busted up and destroyed for reasons that are unscriptural. Somebody's got to stand up. Somebody's got to make a stand, and somebody has got to speak out. And you have people who are a part of the XJW community. They have the guts and the backbone and Jehovah's Holy Spirit giving them the courage to stand up and speak up, even if it means losing their family. If their family want to stay a part of such a travesty, then their families don't deserve. They don't deserve the XJW soldiers who are standing up.
Because you're inactive in the organization means that you have forgotten Jehovah. In reality, they're putting the organization in the same level as God, even though the organization is ran by men. Men who make mistakes every single day. How is it that they have the courage to say that the organization and Jehovah are the same? Well, the only way they're able to get away with this is by brainwashing Jehovah's Witnesses slowly but surely. For example, being an apostate doesn't mean that you have abandoned Jehovah God or God in general.
That's right.
It just means that you stop believing in that organization's policies. But the Jehovah's Witnesses take it to a whole different level. Whenever you hear the word apostate within the organization, you think he has nothing, he doesn't want nothing to do with Jehovah God. He doesn't care about God no more. That's not the case. An apostate in real definition is someone who changed their views on the way that they view the religion or organization or political views. But Jehovah Witnesses use the word apostate as a propaganda tool. You see, the term apostate, if I'm not mistaken, you could correct me if I'm wrong, didn't flourish after until after 1975, when the organization was proclaiming that 1975 was going to be the end of the world. Once brothers and sisters abandoned the organization, that's when the organization came out with the word apostate. And ever since then, they've been seeding generations and generations of people to see the word apostate as a bad term. I was talking to a person not so long ago, a few hours ago actually, and we got into this conversation. Who was the first apostate that is written on the Bible? Jesus. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. I'm playing. Jesus Christ was the first apostate because he did not give in to the political or religious views at the time, which is why they killed him.
That's a very interesting point. I never even took time to think about that. Jesus Christ did not agree with the political views of
Hello?
of the people of that time. He did not. So there's another point. Here's other points that Tusami 1914 brought out that I found to be very fascinating and very useful, and I'm hoping that it can help others out there as well. And this point that he's bringing out in terms of, are Jehovah's Witnesses a cult? Because you have so many people who are still living in denial and pretending that they can't see that this is a cult. But the way Tsunami 1914 brings it out, if you can't see this, I mean, Ray Charles, Stevie Wonder can see. It's just too clear. It don't get any clearer than what you're about to hear.
Is a Jehovah's Witness organization a cult? Here are the 10 signs to distinguish whether it's a cult or not. Here's sign number 1. Absolute authoritarianism without meaningful accountability. What does that mean? The Jehovah's Witness organization, the people in charge of it, which are considered the governing body, always deny the fact when it comes to child abuse cases that they're the ones at fault. Even though their policy states not to contact authorities first, it's kind of the unwritten rule within the organization for you not to contact the authorities first, because the governing body states that they don't want to make the organization look bad. So imagine how many cases are out there and how many times a molester has molested a kid and gone to other congregations, and the Jehovah's Witnesses just cover it up without contacting authorities. The Jehovah's Witnesses have been under fire just recently with the Australian Royal Commission, with a bunch of cases that are going on around the world when it comes to child abuse cases. They even have a database to hide the child molesters, which is kind of crazy, but don't you think that's kind of a little bit authoritarianism? And they don't want to take fault for what's going on within the organization when it comes to child abuse cases. Think about that for a second. Here's number 2. No tolerance for questions or critical inquiries. What does that mean? You see, I got in trouble by this. When you start questioning some of the policies that the organization has in place, right away they label you as an apostate. They shun you to the case where you might lose your family for even questioning the organization policies. This has happened to me.
And this has also been a situation that I have been in also when I said that I was interested in becoming a life coach or an advice coach. And when I spoke about that to a couple of these Jehovah's Witnesses, they looked at me like, really? But that's not something you're supposed to be striving for or something you're supposed to be reaching out for. You're supposed to be focusing on mainly being a pioneer, a missionary, knocking at doors and whatever the hell, whatever. And then when I brought to their attention that I was going to be a writer and I wanted to write because I have a dream of, becoming a published author, that was another red flag for them. I even had my daughter tell me she didn't want to have anything to do with me because I had outside outside goals beside just knocking at doors. She said she felt that instead of me doing this with my free time, I should have been out there, preaching, aka recruiting. But yet she goes on vacation every year, twice a year, and when she's laying down there on vacation, why is she doing that? Shouldn't you be out there knocking at doors? You know? When she's sitting up there doing things like watching those music videos of women shaking their behind and enticing men into wrong thinking, watching those videos, no, baby, you should be writing letters or making phone calls. You have no right to have any hobbies or any other outside interests. Should you not be out there preaching? Yeah. Hypocrites. Total hypocrites.
So many times because there's some things that I don't agree with within the organization. But yet again, I always get bashed and told not to think that way. Why is that? Why is it that they want to keep you captive inside a little bird cage and not question them? Think about that also.
The bird cage.
Here's number 3. No financial disclosure about the budget. Jehovah's Witnesses are around 8 million deep, but yet we don't have no accurate calculation of where that money's circulating to. You don't know where it's going. Why is it that they're keeping money hidden so much? You could go onto the jw.org website and you don't really find out any disclosure of where the money's going, the tax returns that the organization has done within the years, how much money have they gotten in donations. There's nothing. That's kind of strange that they keep the money hidden.
Well, thanks to Jehovah God, like we all know, leave things in Jehovah's hands, and Jehovah will reveal everything. And thank goodness for that Jason Zelda. We see where the money's going. They're investing in the military. They're investing in tobacco companies. They're investing in several things. If you go on YouTube and type in Jason Zelda, Zelda, and he'll show you where the money's going. And that will also at the liquor store. Thanks to what is that, Morris? He was caught in the liquor store purchasing over $800 worth of scotch, dressed in his trench coat and his little cap on a Sunday at 11 o'clock when he was supposed to be at a meeting or out in field service. And then instead of him going to a liquor store right in the location, because in that location they have several liquor stores right in the neighborhood. But no, he made sure he drove all the way out where he thought no one was going to see him. But you see how beautiful Jehovah is? Someone saw him, caught him, even have him recorded. I'm going to make a video showing that too. Unbelievable. Over $800 in scotch.
Number 4. Unreasonable fear of the outside world, pending catastrophes, and persecutions. Doesn't that ring a bell? The Jehovah's Witnesses base their whole organization around fear. It's a fear mongering organization. If you hear the talks, they always talk about Armageddon, which is a pending catastrophe. And then they talk about persecution. And then they talk about being fearful of the outside world. See, for so many years, me as a Jehovah's Witness, I used to see people in the world as worldly people. I had fear to speak to them because what they used to tell me in talks, in literature, in books. So, if these are four signs already, do they all ring a bell within the organization? Do you think that you're inside of a cult? Let's continue on. Number 5, no legit reason for leaving an organization. People that leave the organization are always wrong. Doesn't that sound familiar? You see, a lot of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses leave the organization for valid reasons, such as child abuse,
Exactly.
such as trauma. But you see, when you leave the organization of Jehovah's Witnesses, you are dealt with by losing your family. You lose your whole network of structure, all the friends that you grew up with, your mom, your dad, your brother. If they're all Jehovah's Witnesses, they're cut off you completely.
Now that alone, without even thinking about the four previous, that alone shows you that it's a cult. Anytime you want to leave an organization and there are repercussions, or you have to be punished, or you have your family held hostage in some little box, that we managed to escape out of that box. Our family is still stuck up in there, and they're doing everything in their power to keep your family stuck in that little box. That right there is a clear sign. That alone, to be honest with you, we wouldn't even have to go any further. That alone shows that it's a cult. Holding people hostage, your family members. Because if your family decides to talk to you, then they're going to be shunned from the organization or disfellowship from the organization, which personally, the family shouldn't give a damn. Bye. Long as I have my family, that's all I care about. But you have so many people who have a lot of their family members that's caught up in that organization. So, as sad as it is, they choose to hang on to some family members and turn their back on Jehovah and Jesus Christ. They're turning their back on Jehovah and Jesus Christ just to hang on to their family, because they know good and well that this organization is not Jesus Christ's way. Not at all.
What do you think? You think this is right? Number 6, former members always relate the same stories about abuse. Isn't that strange? Current Jehovah's Witnesses, ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, all share some type of pattern when it comes to abuse. It could be physical abuse, it could be mental abuse. We all share the same traits. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section. Number 7, there are records, television, documentaries about the abuse that's going on within an organization. Well,
It's not only that, it's all over Google, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, the news, Newsweek, newspapers. It's everywhere. So for these Watchtower witnesses to say that they are unaware or that they don't know, they must be really truly living in a cave or really in that box.
you guys know there's a lot of documentaries out there
Yep.
about the Jehovah's Witnesses policies.
Yes, it is.
And a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses don't even know about the Elders book that really tells you what the policies are. And if people were to read the Shepherd the Flock of God book, they'll be very, very disgusted about the policies that the organization has in place. So there's a lot.
He's absolutely right. And to prove that he's right, I recall seeing someone talking to, they have those carts out there. Someone was talking to two sisters out there with their carts, And they was talking to these sisters about, the Bible and everything. And then they spoke to these sisters about the Shepherding the Flock book. Now, this is what freaked me out. One of the sisters was an elder's wife. Okay? She said there is no such book because if there was a book like that out there, I would know about it. This is how in the dark these people are. She sat up there and actually almost argued with this man talking about the Shepherd the Flock book, and this elder's wife was not even aware of such a book. My question also is, why is it that everyone in the congregation can't have a copy of that book? But you can still get it. You can download it right here on YouTube. Shepherding the Flock. You see how beautiful Jehovah is again? Okay.
Record keeping about the things that are happening within the organization. Number 8, followers can never be good enough. It doesn't matter how many hours you do a month in the preaching work, you're never good enough. They always give talks. Just when you think that you're doing the best you can always do more. They always set the bar up high for Jehovah's Witnesses. So you're never.
And I agree with him on that as well because I felt that many times also. Normally most witnesses put in 9 to 10 hours a month, even the elders. I was putting in 24 hours a month doing letters, out in the ministry, and phone calls. I even work while everybody is taking. I get an hour for lunch. While everybody was taking their lunch break, relaxing and eating their lunch, guess what Sheila was doing? I was sitting up there typing up letters, honey, trying to reach everybody in my community because Jehovah's Witnesses are not allowed to knock on doors around here. So I figured since they can't knock on doors, I'll get to them through letter writing or through phone calls. That's what Sheila was doing on her lunchtime. I was pulling in more hours than most of them. And then my daughter had the nerve to tell me I can't sit here and have a little downtime to do something that I enjoy doing. And there was a time when I was with my mom, I used to, not auxiliary pioneer, I used to, not auxiliary pioneer, I used to pioneer, auxiliary pioneer at least twice a year. I did that when I've been in this organization since I was 8 years old. And I used to auxiliary pioneer at least twice a year when I was hanging out with my mom. And then even without my mom, I tried to auxiliary pioneer at least once or twice a year. And no matter how much you do, you always feel like it's never enough, never enough. They'll get up there and tell you that, brothers, and it's doing good. The hours look great, but we can always do more. The time is urgent. Yeah, time is urgent. I'm wondering why these people don't quit their full-time jobs and everybody get a part-time job so you can get out there and do this urgent work. Instead of being so greedy for money and materialistic, why not get a part-time job? Come on, there's work. It's urgent. Yeah, sure.
Good enough for the organization. Yet, when they tell you that, that brings depression inside of you because
Yep.
you feel like you're not good enough. You feel like you're not accomplishing the work. That's number 8. Number 9, the leaders are always right, even if they make mistakes. They get a new sense of information out there, but they're not willing to admit that they made a wrongdoing. See, the organization and the governing body are never wrong, even when they're wrong. The people inside the society accept their wrongdoings as right, which is kind of confusing if you're not a Jehovah's Witness or never been a Jehovah's Witness. But once you understand the way the organization is ran, you understand that the governing body is never wrong. And if you question some of their policies, you get kicked out. Or you get a slap in the, I don't know why I did that, but you get a slap on the wrist. And if you keep on talking,
Or you get marked and people are looking at you sideways. Uh-oh, look at that one. A possible apostate. We have to stop hanging out with them. We have to start distancing ourselves. Good old gossip, something that the Bible tells you not to do. Yeah.
you're out the door. Never question the authority of the governing body because they're never wrong.
Yep.
Number 10, the church leaders or the group leaders always hold the truth, even when it's new light. See, the governing body always claims to hold the truth, like I stated before, even when they're wrong, because they get new light of information. So, these are the 10 signs to identify whether you're in a cult or not. You let me know what you guys think on the comments.
I agree with you. Let me tell you what I think, sweetheart. You are 110% correct, and you are thinking on the same lines as I am. And now we're going to move on to another um, point where it's totally, there's no way you can not see clearly with the way this man is expressing this. I'm going to make a part 2 on this, and I'll see you on the other side.